Well, if there's one thing many homeowners do not like to pay, it's property taxes. But when one Caddo Parish man found out that property taxes in Shreveport are more than 200% higher than in other major Louisiana cities, he was shocked beyond belief. And he says someone needs to explain why. If you're like most homeowners, you probably rarely, if ever, see your tax bill. But when Elliott Stonecipher purchased his home in Shreveport and got a chance to see his tax notice, he couldn't believe it.
No one that I've run into had a clue that Shreveport's taxes had gotten so high.
Shocked by what he saw, Elliott, a professional demographer, decided to take a closer look at property taxes statewide. Specifically, he looked at taxes for a home worth $250,000.
Our taxes in Shreveport are 90% higher for the same house as they are in Lake Charles. Bossier, right across the river from us. Shreveport and Caddo taxes are much higher, 50% to over 100%, depending on which of the kinds of taxes we're talking about, than Bossier, right next door.
He found out that of the 10 largest cities in Louisiana, Caddo Parish property taxes are the highest by far. Elliott's research shows that the Shreveport property tax is 239% higher than Baton Rouge, 148% higher than Lafayette, 120% higher than Alexandria, 106% higher than New Iberia, and overall property taxes are 45% higher than New Orleans.
Shreveport has taxed itself into a place where anyone who does across-the-board comparisons on the internet, they're going to pass on Shreveport. It is money out of their pocket.
So what's going on? Why are property taxes in Shreveport so much higher than in other parts of the state? Elliott says a big part of the problem is that Shreveport voters have approved so many bond issues that have only increased their tax bills.
I mean, I knew Shreveport passed a lot of bond issues, as Baton Rouge does not pass bond issues. So, I mean, there are some things we knew. The real issue is that there is no public pressure on the Caddo Parish Commission, on the Shreveport City Council, on the Shreveport Mayor to do anything about any of this because there's no awareness. Again, we have to remember, most people don't know what they're paying. Their bank pays it. They put it in their monthly note. They don't have a clue how much higher it is than elsewhere.
Elliott says getting information on the various parish property taxes was not easy. He gives kudos to East Baton Rouge for making information accessible. Assessor Brian Wilson says transparency is something that started several years ago.
Governor Blanco was in office at that time, and it was very important to her that assessors be more transparent, so to let the public know what was going on with assessments. So I think that's a trend that's been happening over the last few years, and I think assessors want to be more transparent, and they're not afraid of it.
Other parishes, there's not any transparency, and it's a fight to find out the things that we would think of as basic.
So if Shreveporters are shelling out more money in property taxes, are they enjoying a better quality of life?
What my analysis is trying to show is, if you look at normal quality of life measurements, Shreveport does not get any bang for its tax buck. Caddo schools are not highly rated, so that's not an advantage. Shreveport is not head and shoulders above any other place in Louisiana in terms of its murder rate or its violent crime or property crime rates.
Curious to see how a similarly priced home in Shreveport would compare to one in the neighboring city of Dallas, Texas, what Elliott found was eye-opening to say the least. Even though Texas does not have a state income tax and Louisiana does, he discovered that if you purchased a $250,000 home in the Big D, it would only cost you about $400 a year more to live there than in Shreveport. That's taking into account the homestead exemption, which is $75,000 in Louisiana and $35,000 in Texas.
If young people who we try to keep here find out, if they do their homework and come to understand they can be where jobs pay much more, where the quality of life is much more conducive, quite frankly, or preferable to young people. What if they find out that they can be in Dallas for $400 a year? Shreveport is a great example of a city, therefore, my hometown, where I live, that is pricing itself out of every market there is. And it does it because there's no awareness. With awareness, property taxpayers are going to start insisting that more information is made available.
At this point, Caddo stands alone when it comes to high property taxes in Louisiana. It's not a trend other parishes have picked up on yet. Because power is with the people, Elliott says education is vital if voters want to keep it that way.
Now, Elliott Stonecipher also says because Louisiana has many low incomes, the state often shows up in national rankings as having low taxes. Now, while property taxes on more expensive homes in the state may be lower when compared to other states, they can be very high when you compare taxes from city to city within Louisiana.
Interestingly, Shreveport has a $175 million bond issue coming up in April. Stonecipher says if the entire $175 million is approved, Shreveport's per capita debt will be $4,000 per person.